Welcome to the Soul Nourishment podcast. I am Paollà Yáelli, a spiritual mentor, yoga teacher, and holistic guide. And I'm here today with my dear co-host, Gedalia Walls, personal trainer, spiritual rabbi, wellness coach. He's all about spirituality, also physical health. And today's episode, it's all about cultivating self-reliance through deep introspection. We will explore how to listen to our own inner voice, trust your intuition, and make powerful choices aligned with your soul, even when the world is loud and the path feels uncertain. So let's begin.
Yes. Yes. I think it's great that we're asking introspective questions. It's really a good way to help you build a couple of things, which we usually call that self-reliance. And so that's always about knowing to trust yourself when making your decisions. You got to use your own judgment. I heard a good line one time. The line was, when you're constantly asking others what to do, it's because you don't care what the outcome is for yourself. So let's take a look at that. And I like that statement. Okay. So one really good introspective question is, and when it comes to taking some ownership, introducing some agency, basically ask, what am I currently relying on others to do for me that I could learn to do for myself? So we're looking to identify the questions, basically asking, where are you, just like I said in that first line, what am I just sort of not caring about the outcome? I just believe it needs to be done, but I'm not invested in it. Is it my finances? Is there things around me need to be repaired? Like things are not functioning, the TV, the dishwasher. We love the dishwasher. We talk about the dishwasher in every episode.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Or even things like making social plans. You wait for the world to include you. Are you being an agent of your own success or not? So what do you think about that type of introspection? Am I making good decisions for me, or am I waiting for others to make decisions for me?
Yeah, and it's not you. We can also reflect on, like, it doesn't need to be necessarily something, right? The big decisions, right? The self-reliance, reliance starts in the small things, right? For
Small
example,
steps.
the small steps, cooking your own meals or deciding what you want to eat or creating your own routine, choosing who you're exchanging energy with. When you learn how to care for yourself in these small steps, you will stop outsourcing your happiness, kind of, right?
Even when you talk about the small things like preparing your own meals, when you even, this is a question you have to ask yourself: do I care enough about my own personal wellness that I'm letting the restaurant or the fast food place make the food decisions for me? So that's a sense of self-reliance. When you start preparing your own meals and making your own food, you're making a conscious effort to be invested in your health. Same thing too, when you realize that this is also a financial question too. If you're constantly having food delivered to you, again, you're being passively involved in a lot of your choices. And is that a good active financial decision, or is it not a good active decision? Am I doing this because I am still stuck on relying on others? And sometimes people like to rely on others because they want to just blame somebody else. Oh, I'm overweight because the fast food is bad. I mean, if you keep ordering, twice buttered pancakes, that's probably on
Right.
you, right?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, and then I think when you start doing this, and these small steps that we said, and then it will be more easy for you to take responsibility for your bigger decisions, right?
Yeah, 100%. You want to find those things that, which again, that you can take some control over. So things like the social plans, for example, we're making small steps. I'm working with somebody now on taking those steps to be socially involved because they have tremendous social anxiety and they've been working through it for a very long time. And the other option is, if you let those things pass you by, there's a lot of cost to that. You get all that loneliness, that lack of sense of self. But again, are you relying on others to do those things for you? Are you relying on someone else to fill in the happiness needs?
Yeah, and I think just to add on, that's why it's so important the self-knowledge and find tools where you can know more about yourself, especially in the spiritual path, because sometimes one of your self-development, like as a tikkun or a soul correction, is exactly to be more outward, like how say outgoing, like to
Yeah,
be more like around surrounded more people, and then at the beginning of course you're taking the responsibility and say, okay, I have to do this because it's my soul correction. It's more than just going there. You're transforming something inside of you.
right. And that's the you're right. That is transformative. It's making you more reliant on your decisions, meaning you are the one who is in charge of making your own happiness, which includes making the decisions to go and be involved with others. So I think
Mhm.
let's move on to another self-awareness thing to ask yourself. And
Mhm.
here, I like this one. What is one decision that I am avoiding right now? And why am I afraid to make it on my own? So sometimes there's things that we have to do, but we feel like, oh, I can't do that. Like people who don't want to go to the movie theater by themselves, right?
Mhm.
So this
Mhm.
really looks at, what are you afraid of? And it helps you confront either your, maybe you don't have to call it fear. Maybe it's whatever is making you hesitate. What's holding you
Mhm.
back? But it
Mhm.
also looks at what your level of confidence is. Are you confident about the decision? Are you lacking confidence? Do you want someone else to kind of bear the brunt of the decision? And that's something else to look at in terms of being an agent in your own decision making. What do you think of that in terms of this is the other side of the coin where we say before, am I relying on myself? And even when I'm relying on myself, am I not making a decision? Am I stopping myself?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and also it's most of the time to have like a decision, right? To do something. Sometimes you have like the fear of a rejection or failure or disappointing others, all of these make you to just to feel like stuck, right? So
Yeah,
it's important to understand also these, let's say, bad words like a rejection. Oh my God, but rejection is protection. This is
yeah,
a beautiful phrase, right? So if you understand that rejection is protection, you feel you have this courage. Okay, I have to do it, because then you open your heart, you open paths. If you don't go through yourself there, you're not gonna know what's gonna happen. And failure also is something beautiful, right? Failure is not
mhm.
just something bad, it's how you learn things,
Well, that's
right?
actually a great way to kind of look at. That's sort of like the next step beyond looking at myself. It's looking at the outcome of my decisions. Because before you even get to that point, some people are so gripped by making the decision. You see this all the time with people wanting to choose jobs or choose anything. It's this fear. They ever want you to have an. Sometimes people, when they have a conversation, they don't realize how much they themselves are injecting into a conversation. He's like,
And
I
it's
need to change your job. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I agree.
So sorry, I'm choking on myself. But yeah, you want to tell somebody, I decided to make a decision. Oh, did you think it out? Maybe it is spur of the moment. Maybe it is something that I just want to make the change. But have you been reflecting on it? The self-reflection is important. And you don't want to make decisions that are capricious. You want to make them well thought out. You want to make them well planned. But to make
Yes.
decisions bold and daring decisions requires looking at this one question to yourself: is are you holding yourself back or afraid to make a decision which but
Mhm.
you're ready to take responsibility for it, but
Yeah.
are you going to take that step forward? What's a good midrash on that? What I'm going to talk about. This is a great parsha to talk about that, because it's parsha for Etchanan. So it's talking about when they arrived at Har Sinai, right, at Mount Sinai. But
Mm-hmm.
the only way they got there was because when they got to the Red Sea, they didn't know what to do. Here's the Red Sea was there in front of them, and they couldn't leave Egypt. The Jewish people couldn't leave Egypt. So the Midrash says that Nachshon ben Aminadab, he walked into the water as far as he could, because he knew what the goal was, and he knew he was going to get there, and he knew he had the ability to do it. As soon as he walked in and it got up to his chin, then
Yeah.
the path opened up. Sometimes you don't see it so immediately,
You
but you
have
do.
to, yeah, you're almost getting a drum, right? And then you
Yep,
see like your own Red Sea splitting and opening. So you have to jump in and and at first it might seem that it's not working. And then when you feel like, oh my God, like it's not working, and you have this certainty, because when you really trust in your decisions and you go, your inner decision, not the decision that your therapist told you is the best thing to do, because also
exactly.
they make mistakes sometimes, and sometimes therapists or whatever, they get emotional with the client and then start saying what they think. And the thing is, like, when you go to therapy, the person needs to find the inner wisdom, the inside of them, to understand what is their own truth at that time. And then when you take a decision from your heart or your soul, whatever, your intuition, and you go for it, you empower your intuition, yourself, your inner self start getting stronger. And it's like it's a practice and it gets easier. And for example, I felt many times as a person, as a mentor, it's everybody gets these moments of failure, but I've trusted too much. I stay in the silent, and I say, no, I trust in my decision. I'm gonna go there. And then you build up more humility, the truth of inside yourself, and you have more resilience about the things that you decide. And then there's no it's really funny, because today I was with a coach, a student, and then the oracle in Portuguese that came for her was, I don't lose what is not to be mine. I don't know if English is exactly right, but it's like, if you failure or something, like, it doesn't matter if you go for different paths that I believe is the right way to go. If it's yours, like the universe, God, whatever you name it, it's gonna put you in the path again, but you have to trust yourself and not to be afraid of the failure.
That's actually a good segue into sort of the next aspect of it, is the resilience part of it. So the
Mm-hmm.
the question you ask yourself when you want to become more resilient, you have to ask yourself, when was the last time I failed, or allowed myself to fail, or got into a place where I could make a mistake? And what did I learn from that mistake? Meaning that, they say experience is the ability to recognize the mistake when you make it again, because we're not perfect, but at least we look, as you were mentioning, the perspective of how it impacts you, and realizing that, to paraphrase the wise Yoda, who says this in one of the Star Wars movies, the greatest teacher failure is. But it is. It really allows you to recognize and it allows you to be in a place of where you can grow. That not everything goes in a straight line. Not everything is perfect. It has peaks and valleys as it progresses. Sometimes it has setbacks, but recognizing the ability to stand tall and move forward. And also, they always say, there's a saying, in the US, about having the thick skin. And it's also, there's some a lot of places like to use that statement, having a thick skin. I don't think that's what this is. Having a thick skin can often immunize you from feeling what is you're experiencing. This is more intelligence based. This is more about being able to recognize and use the information to grow from it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that we are going through a period now, like that, with the AI, like everything's more easy, to create things without any failure. You know what I mean? Like all the
Yeah,
content, social media, and whatever, everything has to be looking like perfect. And I think in this new generation, the failure will be so important for us. You know what I mean? Like, and really to disconnect from all these stimulus that you have, like how, just to do everything perfectly and just go in and find your authenticity, like authenticity, like to
yeah,
understand, and the failure, I think it brings you to that, you know, the humility to say, okay, what is here? What is truth for me here? You know, so in this new kind of world that you're going, that everything looks so perfect, it's so important to learn how to failure, especially the new generation that they're, I don't know, I think it's different now.
I think so. I think a lot of people are afraid of failing.
Mhm,
I'm afraid of falling. I think it hurts, but I still try when I don't feel like I'm going to fall, you know.
mhm. Or you
But
learn how to fall is
right,
different.
right,
Like
exactly. You
in
learn how to
yoga,
brace
when
yourself.
you're practicing yoga, you also learn how to fall when you're doing handstands or headstand to
Right, but
not break, you know, like there is a way
exactly,
that you learn and it
yeah,
doesn't learn
exactly,
so much.
yeah, exactly. You slowly migrate away from the wall. I like the yoga where you migrate towards the wall. So when you do something like Warrior Three and you're bouncing on one leg, you just grab the wall. It's right there, or a
Mm.
bookcase. There's always that. There's always that. But let's look at one other thing over here about resilience, which is something that's very reflective, which is identify your core strengths and how to use them to solve the problems that are immediately confronting you. Meaning, you have to ask yourself, what abilities do I have at my disposal that can get me out of the situation, that can get me through the situation? So you have to look at yourself. It really makes you think. You're going to recognize what your capabilities are, and it's going to make you problem solve. This is better than just having the thick skin. People with thick skin will just take it. They'll just take it and they'll absorb it. That's not what we want to talk about over here. We want people to realize that it's important to have skills to get you through and move you through a situation that you can.
Mhm.
I think I told you that I went sailing a couple of weeks ago, and that it was a true disaster. It was a true disaster because since I was not really in control of all the things that were happening, I will say that I confronted it by using my skills and my abilities to get through the situation as best as possible.
Mhm.
But I do regret not having been more forceful at saying, get me off of this crazy ship. In reflection, I was able to navigate a lot of it, but sticking through it, the
Oh,
whole thing.
you tried, you found a way, you tried, right?
Oh, I mean, against the better judgment that I had advised, and against the advice, yes, we trudged ahead. We trudged ahead into great tragedy. But I learned a very important lesson from that, which is you can trust people up to a point.
Up to a point.
Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, but the point is to know what your skills are. Imagine if I took you and I put you in front of a Pilates class. That's what
Yeah.
it feels like.
Well, then, you know, I've been working for a long time, like trusting my inner compass and my instincts. So if I feel that is something that it doesn't, we say in Portuguese, it doesn't smell right, like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not
It's
gonna
a
go
lot of
to, I'm
languages
not
have
gonna do
that.
it. I'm gonna trust that, you know? I'm not
Yeah,
very taking so many risks if I don't feel that it's good for me.
yeah, yeah. It's actually funny in a lot of languages they say it doesn't smell right to me. It's probably even an American thing too. I didn't
Well,
get
and
it.
you know, like
Preferences.
the human design self-knowledge like tool, like there they separate also you from the senses, like, okay, what is your strongest skill? And my strongest skill senses, and you have, you know, like the vision, you have the smelling, and mine is the smell, and it's part of my intuition. So this is something that I've learned, and I understand that, yeah, I my sense of smelling, it's good, like, so how can I use this in favor, you know, in my favor, like something good for me? And it's also for situations, not only food and stuff, you know. So if it doesn't smell right, just trust your intuition, and everybody's going to tell you it's fine. He's a great guy. He knows how do you say, to not to drive the boat, how do you say, to navigate. He knows how to
Yeah,
do it,
navigate.
you
Yeah,
know, he knows how
yeah,
to navigate it. But if you feel like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe just don't go,
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, that was that was the kind of information I had personally on a situation like that, where I didn't really have the information to know that it was a bad choice. I read a great book though. It's called The Gift of Fear by Gavin de Becker, and he talks a lot about how your body has this, I guess for lack of a better term, spidey sense, like Spider-Man has in the comic books, that sometimes you will just have this sense you need to like lock a door or turn, like something around you doesn't feel right, and instead of not reacting to it. So I know what I've done on occasion for stuff like that is you just look somewhere, and sometimes they'll be like somebody there who may be completely innocuous. When they become aware that you're being aware of them, their behavior changes as well. Or when you're in situations where you feel like you're not making a good decision. The in that book, The Gift of Fear, he talks about this gut feeling, something you have inside
The
that
gut feeling,
it
yeah.
really protects you. Yeah, and it's really it's a good sense of having a good sort of a field guide, an automatic field guide, navigation guide that can tell you where to go without having to think too hard about it. I was sharing with somebody the other day about sometimes there's some decisions that you make that you don't have to know how to get there. You just know that you want to go from point A to point B. And if you have enough of the skill set, you automatically go through the process. They teach it to athletes a lot. Like, for example, running backs, they want to run through the offensive line and they want to get to the next place. They don't know how they're going to do it, but they feel their environment and react very, very quickly to make those decisions. And you often see birds in flight will do that too. They'll dart this way and that way. Like it just seems like it violates the laws of physics, but that they know where they need to get to, and they have a sense of awareness. Actually, the best guy I ever seen, I don't think the guy even needs vision to get to where he wants to go. To this guy, Stephen Curry, who plays basketball. Stephen Curry. So he doesn't even he actually practices blindfolding himself to just know
Wow,
where he is on a basketball court.
great.
And yeah, if you want to try it, a great thing, close your eyes while trying to balance, and you'll get a good sense of what it means to have a good sense of an inner compass of where you are, so where you are spatially. Actually, let's I don't want to hold us back on moving this conversation forward. Let's talk about the inner compass though, because you mentioned that, and I think it's really great. So that inner compass, that sense of direction, is you have to ask yourself that question: is what do I really want for myself? And also, what is it? How does that define me as opposed to other people want from me? So sometimes, like you're the teacher, you're expected to teach the class. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want to see out of that? Something like that. Or if someone's a parent, kids are constantly, man, I want this, right? So how do you define yourself more than just as the getter of breakfast, lunch, and dinner? How do you define yourself in terms of where you can navigate yourself?
So I think it's so important to have these moments of stillness, especially in the morning, where you can kind of purify your desires and the things that you want. And the thing that I do that is with meditation or prayers, like where I really set up my intention every day, like to whatever desire or whatever I have inside of myself, to how can I disconnect from my toxic ego, and just go for a more defined desire. How can I be that? And at the same time, how can I elevate my energy? So sometimes I put like a nice song, something that makes me feel happy, because then you elevate your energy. And then you tune in inside, right? You're in a compass. And then I have my yoga practice, and I think it's more easy for me. And I think the most important, it's like to have this true desire to connect with our divinity, like our spirit,
Yeah,
like the purest desires in the heart. For sure, there's no mistake there. If it's something that comes from your heart in a very pure, and divine way, even if you have like a fear of failure or something, it's going to work out in the end, you know? So this comes from the constant prayer. This is what I believe. So then it's easy to trust, because then you have, and if you develop in your meditation stillness, you know, self-awareness, it's more easy for you to understand the inner compass. And then you go from there. And then
Yeah, and go ahead.
go ahead.
Sorry, I
No, go
interrupted.
ahead.
Okay, so the thing I mentioned about prayer, I think, is great because in many ways, prayer is not always something that you have to develop on the spot, but comes from a developed liturgy, meaning other people have walked this path and they are leaving you with a sense of a map, not a perfect map. You're not going to necessarily follow it exactly, but a good map. So the
Mhm.
idea is that you know through the process of prayer where you want to get to. And in a sense, the Hebrew word for prayer is tefillah, and the word comes to pilel, which refers to making judgments, making decisions. It's like someone who is sitting and having to render decisions. It comes from that. So when you are trying to pray, you're trying to give your inner expressions life. You're trying
Mhm.
to bring those innermost feelings. And like you said, it's really important to have healthy inner divine senses that you're trying to bring forward into this world, because that is going to give you the direction you need in using prayer. It can be such a powerful tool to direct people. I often tell people sometimes that when they find that they are regularly directionless or stressed or whatever, to
Mhm.
write a short prayer or find an existing one to help direct themselves.
Yeah,
And
because it's not everything that you want, it's good for you. Maybe you think it's good for you. And then sometimes you manifest things that are not good for you. Because as I understand, the algorithm, how do you say, the algorithm of not
yeah,
the internet, but like of life, it's
yeah,
going to prove for you that you're right in all the signs that you can ever imagine. So it's the thing like, oh yeah, I want a yellow Jeep. I don't know, like a yellow Porsche. You're gonna see a lot of Porsches in the street, right? Like you're gonna see a lot of cars like in the street. So
the
if
confirmation
you
bias.
it's going just to confirm, like, okay, if I'll see a blue butterfly, it's a sign now. And then you start seeing butterflies confirming the thing that you want to do. Oh, so here's the way, you know? So sometimes it's not good for you, but the universe gonna show you that it's good for you because it's what you believe.
Right. No, yeah, confirmation bias is a terrible thing. You need to have better sense of moral judgment and not leave yourself up to crazy little silly signs. And
It's
that's
like GPT, whatever. If you write in the chat, I heard a woman say, if you're writing the right GPT, I don't know, I want to kill, like God forbid, I want
yeah.
to, I don't know, to not use a hard word, but I want just, like kill my friend or something.
Yeah.
GPT gonna tell, yeah, it's gonna be so good, and let me show you how you can do that, all the ways you can do. You know what I mean? It's not gonna say, no, it's not good for you. Go to a therapist, you know? So that's how we're going to, right?
It drives me so crazy I could kill them. You remind me of a really funny meme that I saw years and years ago. I don't know if you remember it or not. In Microsoft Word, there was a robot called Clippy. It was a paperclip with googly eyeballs. Do you remember Clippy? Do you remember that?
I'm not sure. I'm
Okay,
not sure if
okay,
you're,
okay. So it was when you used Microsoft Word and you started typing. You want to start typing something. This little paperclip called Clippy would show up, and he would try to help, and he want to help you write
I think I remember.
what you were doing. So it's people have joked around. He was like the first language model, that because it was there to help you with by watching and having learned from other people typing, it was able to apply what it knew to help you. And this is a long time ago. This is over 30 years ago. And so someone one time started, this is why it was a meme. Someone starts typing a suicide note, "Goodbye, cruel world." And so Clippy's over there to help you, and he says, "I see you're writing a suicide note. Have you considered the various ways of committing suicide? Jumping off a bridge."
That's crazy.
And
But
it reminded me of that. That's exactly the type of
but
toxic
it's
thing.
exactly where you're going to, you know,
Right,
you cannot trust the AI the way
right,
people are trusting now, especially because it's something new. It's amazing for a lot of things. Of course, I also use it, but and this is also applies for the inner compass, you know, you
right,
have to like to you. And when I say about the like purify your energy and your thoughts and your desires, it's also in the physical matter. Like what are you what are you eating, what are you drinking, what are
right,
you watching?
right.
It's an integration of everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll be on top of all of that. And one other thing that we should look at, um, in terms of when we're trying to make ourselves have good, clear direction. If
Mm,
you were by yourself, so set yourself up in the situation. If you're by yourself, there's no one giving you advice, solicited advice or unsolicited advice. What would I tell me to do? Right? It's just me here and there's nobody else. So this exercise, okay, it's like the prayer exercise that we're talking about too. But you have
mm,
to look to rely on your own instincts. Okay. And so
mm,
that's what we're looking for, is to be
mm.
reliant on your own instincts. What would be some good things to tell ourselves to make sure that we're listening? We first and foremost are aware that we're listening to ourselves, and secondly, that we're giving ourselves good advice.
Yeah. Um, something just want to add on this
Oh,
is like just to I think to conclude right this episode, it's
yeah,
if you're in a monkey mind and it's really hard for you to be, you know, in a quiet state just to listen to yourself and just, you know, to understand, it's really important to work with your physical body. Yoga practice, when you talk about yoga asanas that you're moving, you're preparing your body to go for a meditation. That's why we move for shavasana, where you can
right,
meditate. So for you, if yoga is not something for you and you're in a monkey mind, go for running, for a
right,
long walk, do something, move your body. This is something that helps a lot.
right, right, for sure, for
Well,
sure.
so thank you
Great.
so much for joining us in this beautiful exploration that you have today. May these questions that you brought here continue to echo inside of you, you know, not to create more confusion, but really to awaken this clarity. Your soul already knows everything. And then when you trust yourself, you become your own sanctuary, right? And this was the Soul Nourishment podcast. And if this episode resonates with you, share with someone who needs a reminder to trust their own light. And until next time, stay connected, stay nourished, and keep listening within.
Thanks
Bye.
so much.